to. I remember I had to wear a long skirt and I had to wear something over my hair. And I was a kind of young, kind of still like feminist woman, and I was there with my colleagues, and there's a certain way of being in the workplace and being together where the gender politics were neutral, they weren't strong. But suddenly in this very traditional space, there were very strong gender politics, and especially I think as a white woman there, the older black men were really like testing me and going, you know, will you give us this and serve us this? And it was hard for me to hold because it was respect for the space that I was in and respect for that space. But also when it emerged with my colleagues, so people who I was very close to who were also suddenly taking on those roles and treating me in a way that I wasn't used to being treated, I ended up in a bit of an argument with one of my male colleagues, with Owen.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and so that was challenging. It was also, I remember Saniko's brother in his speech made a point of mentioning that, and I remember this, that it was actually Leo's initiative, but when Saniko was on his hospital bed, Leo gave him a massage, and I gave him a massage, and that touch. And he had told his brother, you know, it's so weird because we don't really, like in our family, we don't really touch each other. And then I have these two white people kind of giving care and touch, but how much it meant to him. And that was mentioned at the funeral, which was a huge honor, like that would be mentioned. It was very touching. But at the same time, it was also really hard. And on the way home, Owen and I talked and debriefed, and we talked about the fact that it's a grief space and that there's just lots of emotion. And yeah, but it was hard for me. That was when I was feeling maybe something of what Musa was feeling, when it was like, how do you be in the space and also not betray yourself, but respect the space? And for me, it was hard because I was like, how do I be in the space and respect the space, but also, and then not feeling comfortable with the way the gender politics were playing out for me. Yeah.
I'm saying something about gender before I open it up to the floor, something about this issue of the dynamics of these relationships that where patriarchy kind of, you know, intrudes into relationships, whether within the intersection of race or not necessarily within that intersection. Maybe from your perspective, these experiences of real marginalization or being undermined in the context of a patriarchal, defined relationship.
I remember when they came back, then the colleague that had a fight with Kim came to me and said, yeah, okay, we had a fight with Kim, and yeah, she got flustered, you know how white people are. And it's like, and it was an issue. It's like, okay, but traditionally as well, she doesn't subscribe to certain things, and that will normally, you know, how women should be in a funeral, how men should be. How did that negotiation say it? It's like, no, I had to be a man, you know, and that also reinforced, you know, even in our solidarity as black people, or in general, there's also something about masculinity and black masculinity and certain things that also, you know, fracture, I guess, or makes this collectiveness, and you know,
unsettles
it a bit, which I think we also had to work through it. And I remember the first time as well when Kim brought this black dancer. They were dating for a short period of time actually. And the guy came, like boosting, like he was like that guy, like sure he has a white woman next to her, feeling all confident and sure of himself. But it was like something, and also, and how he treated. I was with Tapio, which is also a mutual friend of ours, and he comes in and he had this swag of like, so what do you want? And how he treated me like I'm a man and I'm with this white woman. So what are you gonna do about it? That type of thing. And to Tapio at the same time, I think intimidated of like, what is this? Are you together? Like asserting his turf. And it was very uncomfortable. And I asked Kim, because Kim also, I think it was the first time, I might be wrong, first time dating a black guy. And now you see all these signs of this, unsure masculinity that's trying to make itself more superior than it should be. And then we have to have this conversation, which was uncomfortable. Like she doesn't want to say, at the same time she wants to be polite, first time maybe trying out interracial relationships. So she's going through her own thing as a white person, also as a woman in itself, it's a new relationship. At the same time, you can see the problematicness of this masculinity, and you don't know when to carve it out. Then Tapiwa said to me, let's just wait for her to come to us until she's ready to tell us if there are dynamics that are problematic. And sometimes, and Tapiwa said something, it's like, sometimes, certain things you let them be, just assert itself, but at the same time you don't want to push too far. But at the same time, black masculinity that is problematic at the same time. Not all of it, but there are certain aspects of it that actually undermines women, and that also has to be questioned. And how do we do that? And I think that's an ongoing conversation among black people themselves about gender relations amongst black people and so on. And I'm assuming even in white counterparts, they have the same thing. It manifests itself differently, of course. But I think that has always been a touch, even with my relations with my uncle sometimes, what you expected, what is not. And sometimes because you're educated, they want to even test you further, that you're going to assert your education or you're going to assert your class elements. Are you still very cultured in a particular way? And those things actually, I think some of the reflections that we have to think about, yes.
I just want to ask you one last question. You made slight reference in passing to this man who was Kim's lover, who asserts himself almost as if there's a greatness in this relationship with a white woman. Can you say a little bit more about that? What does that mean?
This is where my English runs out. You can't read.
You called him unsure masculinity.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain. That guy, when they get in, it's like, hola. And they're assessing you out, what are you going to do now? And holding and they sitting next to Kim, sure, and are you going to question me? Like, that defense is there. Are you going to question me? And what are you going to say? I'm ready for you. And you get that vibe, but you can't explain it in words. But it was more of that vibe. Yes.
He was a beautiful dancer.
Yeah. Finished.
So I think I saw the artist first, and it was funny.
And she's a dancer herself.
Yeah. So then when I saw him with you guys, like that side came out, and I hadn't actually seen it before. So dodged a bullet there.
Okay, thank you very much. Shall we at this point like an intermittent clapping of the hands? We'll do another round, but now we're going to have a Q&A, and you're going to be talking to them, asking you whatever is on your heart. And I can tell you now, there is nothing that is sacred. And this is not the space for that. This is a space for openness. So please ask your questions as they occur in your hearts. Oh, I see people from UCT I saw the other day. Welcome. Yeah. Yes, please.
I've got a question, actually, to any of the three of you.
Yes.
But I was wondering why.
There's a mic.
Oh, sorry. Why is the story of King's family not part of this story? Because to a great extent, your real facing of reality would have been with your family, maybe, and not so much with the two of, or between the two of you.
Shall we take another question? There's first. Oh, okay. Why don't you stand there? I'll give the reverend this one. Okay, the next one.
I'm Reverend Rich Mbuli from Theology Department. I'm a student. I'm sitting here, you see, I hear that, you see, today I realize that sometimes the breaking of relationship.
I also don't know. Just hold it further. No, you hold it, but just further. No, you have been for this, but a little bit further.
It's a breaking that you're talking about. That's what's
breaking.
going on.
The breaking of relationship sometimes is not bad, because today we can hear a nice story after that breakage. So, but I will advise you, ma'am, to continue, learn the language now of the lady, so that you can really finalize this journey. It's a good journey. And lastly, Professor, this conservation, it might be most good in the township. If you can get such conservation in the township, it can bring people together, because this thing of race, it's a sickness to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simple. Thank you. And then that will be the first round.
I was just wondering, in cleaning up your friendship, did you experience, okay, my very short story quickly is that I started high school in 1994 in Kimberley at the Amantveld Hoër School, and my name is not just only Renee, but my surname is Van der Berg. So we were 10 students of color, colored students that were taken into school in 1994. And the other 9 ended up in one class with surnames like Williams in January and April, and Van der Berg ended up in an all-white class. So I had the problem with, I couldn't fit in because I was taken out of my color